Noelia, what is the Ley de Memoria Democrática or Ley de Nietos?
So it is a law that allows people who are descendants of Spanish to become Spanish as well without living here, without living in Spain. And it is interesting because it can be done for children, for descendants of Spanish, and also for grandchildren. So it is great. And it's great also because you don't have to renounce to your origin citizenship. For example, if you're from the United States, you don't have to renounce to your citizenship. You can keep it and also be Spanish at the same time.
What are the benefits of obtaining the Spanish nationality?
So I will say the most important advantage is that you can work, live here in Spain. You can also live in another European Union country. And also, if you like traveling the world, you don't need any visados or something like that to enter in another countries. For example, you don't need to get it just in 3 countries.
What is the current deadline to apply for Spanish nationality under the Democratic Memory Law? And is there a possibility of extension?
So at the first time we had until October 2024, but they extended it, and we have now until October 22 of 2025. So we have 1 year. Well, not exactly 1 year, but we have plenty of time. But please don't sleep. Hurry up because these procedures take a lot of time. And I don't think it will be extended anymore because it has been already extended for 1 year. So I think it's going to be the definitive deadline.
How common or frequent are these kinds of laws?
They are not very frequent. We had one, the first one in 1995. We had another in 2007, and we have this one now that it was approved in 2022. So it's like a period of 12, 15 years. So it is important that if you apply now, you do it because you don't know when it's going to be approved again, or even if it's because government change, and maybe the one that is in charge now don't like people to become Spanish and restrict all that area. So if you can do it now, just take advantage, do it, and don't think about it. Just do it.
What happens if an applicant cannot gather all the required documentation before the deadline in October 2025?
So if you're missing one document, for example, or two or whatever, it is important that you go to the consulate with an appointment and try to submit your application, because even if you don't have all the documents, they are forced to give you like a 30 days in order to complete all the application. It is important that you know it because sometimes you go to the consulate and they say no, if you don't have all the paperwork, you cannot present it. You can do it. The law allows you, but that is why it's important to have a lawyer that can explain, make writings, and based on the law, so that they allow you to present even if you don't have all the documents required. I will say just first go to someone that is an expertise, just because it's a little bit difficult, and depending on the consulate where you live and the consulate of where you were born, it is important that you know all the documents that are required, because if you don't know it, you will receive a requirement from the administration that will delay all the process, and you can be without your Spanish citizenship for 2 years. So
For those in the application process, what urgent steps should they take to secure their case before the law expires?
the most important thing is that you have the Spanish documents, the birth certificate or the baptism certificate of your grandfather, your father, or whoever is the Spanish one, and apply as soon as possible. Because, as we said, we have less than 1 year, and these applications take time. So I will highly recommend you to don't lose time, because we are running out of time. This law expires soon, and you have to apply as soon as possible.
What essential documents are needed to apply for the Democratic Memory Law?
Like we have been saying, depending on the consulate where you live and where you were born, documents are lightly different, but the most common documents are the Spanish birth certificate of the Spanish one. And if you don't have it, you need a negative certificate from the administration here in Spain, and a baptism certificate. So I will say that documents are the most important one, but also the own birth certificate of the applicant. So, for example, if you are from the United States and you're going to New York consulate, you will need your own birth certificate, apostille, and swear translated. and also all the Spanish documents. If you have the first certificate of your Spanish relative, that will be enough. You will have to gather another document. For example, if you're applying because you're the, I don't know, the grand son, you will have to get also the birth certificate of your father or mother, depending who is linked with the Spanish relative.
What are the most common mistakes in submitting the documents for the Ley de Memoria Democrática?
I will say that the most frequent mistake is that you go to, I don't know, your consulate webpage. For example, you live in Bogota. So you enter in Bogota's consulate, you see the requirements, the documents, you prepare all, but you were born in Miami. So you have to match both requirements because you present where you live, but all the paperwork travel to Miami. That is where you were born. So you have to match both consulates. And a lot of people just see what the consulate or where they live are asking for. So I would say it is important that you have an expertise because it's difficult. Sometimes even consulate are not very well what they're doing and they require some paperwork that it's not legal. You have to have someone on your right that says, you know, you cannot do that. And yeah, I would say always be informed, well informed, and ask for help because it's not easy. Maybe if you have been born in the same place or where you live, it's easier, but still, you don't know the consulate, you don't know what they require, and you don't know how they work.
From which Spanish consulate can I apply from for the Ley de Memoria Democrática? And can I enter Spain as a tourist and apply from there?
According to the law, to the democratic memory law, you have to present where you legally reside. So, for example, if you live in Miami, you have the driver license there, you can present in Miami's consulate. But if you were born in Bogota and you still have your house there and you can prove that you live here with your rent agreement or with your purchase deeds, you can present also there. And about the question that if you can enter as a tourist, for example, in Spain and present here, no, you will have to get what is called here in Spain padrón, which is an official address. And then you can present. For example, if you want to present in Madrid, you have to get registered in an official address here in Madrid, for example, in Orense 33, that is where we are. So, no, it is important that you know that you have to present of where you legally are living.
So potentially, if I enter as a tourist
No,
and I
you
obtain a certificado de empadronamiento, for example, in Madrid, I could potentially apply from Madrid.
Yeah, for example, if you have friends here and you're going to live here, but you don't know, you cannot get a padrón because you don't have a rent agreement yet, yes, you can do it.
Are there differences in how Spanish consulates interpret the Ley de Memoria Democrática?
So that's an amazing question, and the answer is yes. It depends on the consulate where you are, or even here in Spain, the office of where you present. Because a lot of offices and consulate they require that your Spanish relative was an exile from the civil war here in Spain, and another ones don't. So it is important that you have an expertise lawyer because you can receive a denial because of this, and you have to appeal. The good thing is the appeal is known by the organism that came into force with the law saying that you can apply even if you don't have proofs of the exile. So
How long does the process currently take from the submission of the application to obtaining nationality via the Ley de Memoria Democrática?
the average, taking into account that, like we said, every consulate and every office in Spain have their own time, it will be like 1 year, from 1 year to 1 year and a half, I would say.
What specific tips can you provide to speed up the application process given the limited time left?
So I will say you have to get someone with expertise of looking for birth certificates because the most common thing that we see is that people know that their relatives are Spanish, but they don't have the documents proving it. And because if you have someone with expertise in that, you can get the rest of the documents fast. I mean, your own birth certificate, you can get it. You can get an apostille of it. And we have sworn translation service here. So I would say the most important thing is that you contact someone with experience looking for Spanish documents because the thing that can be more complicated and get a little bit of time if you don't do it at first time would.
Are there exceptions or special cases that allow the application deadline to be extended beyond the law's expiration date?
There's no exceptions like that. I mean, if you have presented your application 5 days before the deadline, it will be known, so you're on time. But if, for example, they deny the application and you have to appeal, you are in the time, so you can still do it. So it's important that you apply before the deadline.
In case of an initial rejection, what is the appeal process and how it is affected by the imminent conclusion of the Ley de Memoria Democrática?
So if you receive a denial, you have 1 month to appeal. It will be known by the administration who came into force with the law, saying that you can apply even if you don't have proofs of exile, because that's the most common mistake we are seeing. And yeah, I would say if you receive a denial and if you have done it by your own, definitely you need a lawyer in order to appeal that, because you need to know how the law system itself works here in Spain. And it's so difficult even for us. So it's important that you have to be sure of what the procedure is.
What is the time frame for filing an appeal after a denial?
So you have 1 month since you received the denial. For example, if the consulate said that you cannot get the Spanish citizenship on October 10th and you received the notification on October 15th, you have 1 month since you received the denial.
What are the consequences of not completing the application process before the Ley de Memoria Democrática expires?
So if you don't apply on time, you just lost your opportunity. And I think it is important that you apply, because you can transfer the Spanish citizenship through your descendant in the future. And it takes an advantage for them, just because you don't have to renounce to your origin citizenship. So, for example, from the United States people, Canadian people, not Iberian people, I will say you need to apply and just do it.
For those considering applying for the Ley de Memoria Democrática, what would be the first critical step you recommend?
I would say you have to look for the Spanish birth certificate or baptism certificate, because without that, you don't have anything. Even if you have their last passport, it doesn't matter. You have to get the birth certificate is the only thing, or baptism certificate that is valid here in Spain and in the consulates. You need to get that. Once you have that, then you can focus on gathering all the rest of the documents.
Could I apply under the Democratic Memory Law if my last name is Spanish?
No, the only thing important is that you have the birth certificate or baptism certificate of your Spanish relative. If you, for example, have the passport, the Spanish passport, but you don't have the birth certificate, just talk to someone with expertise, and they will, like us, and they will help you finding it. But even if you have that, you still need the birth certificate or baptism certificate.
Can I apply if DNA test results show Spanish ancestry?
No, you can hire someone that give a search about your family and try to get for the birth certificate in case, I don't know, your grandparents were Spanish, but you cannot use only ancestry or any other DNA test.
Can you explain how eligibility under the Democratic Memory Law is determined?
So yes, as we said, we have daughters, we have children, and we have grandchildren. But we are also being frequently asked if grandchildren can apply, great grandchildren, and the answer is depends. For example, if your great grandfather was Spanish and your mother, who is the link with the Spanish line, is alive, you can do it. You can do it. In some consulates and offices here in Spain allow you to do it like at the same time for your mother and for you. But if, for example, your mother sadly is not alive, you cannot do it. And I think this is the most frustrating thing, because a lot of time I have consultation for people that say, okay, but all my family, my cousins, my uncles are Spanish and I'm not. Yes, I know it is awful, but if the person who is the link, the grandchildren is not alive, you cannot apply. You can do it by that person, but you cannot do it on your own.
What options are available for those whose ancestors left no clear documentation or whose records were lost?
We always find a solution. We have been working with some companies with expertise on searching the last very old documents. For example, in some places here in Spain, for example, Asturias, there were like a lot of fires and some documents were lost. So it is important that you have someone helping you because you don't know, maybe your Spanish relative document were lost in a fire or whatever. You need to know, and you need to know where to find and where to look.
Is it really necessary to prove that the Spanish relative was exiled for political reasons to qualify under the Ley de Memoria Democrática?
So it's an amazing question because in some offices here in Spain, they are asking for it. They are denying some application because of that. But I would say, I think I am an expert lawyer in this area, that you don't need to prove it. And we will appeal all denials that I hope we don't receive, but from all the people that want help in that case. And I think we will win because the organism that is going to know about all these cases, all these appeals, is the one who came into force with the law saying, stating that you don't have to prove it. So, and if even if we have to go to the court here in Spain, we cannot make some differences here. Like you presented the Miami consulate and you don't have proof of any exile and you can get it, and you present it here in Madrid and you cannot get it with the same document. That cannot happen here in Spain because our supreme law, which is called Constitución Española, said that you cannot make some difference. It's in 14 article, and you cannot make such difference because it's not legal here.
What are the legal implications of acquiring Spanish nationality for applicants who already hold another nationality under the democratic memory law?
That's also another advantage because you don't have to renounce to any other citizenship that you have. For example, you are from the United States and you also have the Brazilian citizenship. You don't have to renounce to any other.
How many successful and unsuccessful cases have you handled so far?
So I think we have like hundreds of approvals. We haven't received any denial yet, but I think seeing like a lot of offices are asking for proof of exile. I think at some point we will receive a denial, but I'm sure we will win it with an appeal because, as I said, based on the law system here in Spain, they cannot require for exile proofs. So I will say for now we don't have any denial, but I think we will, and we will win.
What type of legal assistance does Sterna Abogados provide for applicants under the Ley de Memoria Democrática?
So I will summarize it with all. We do everything. We start by finding the Spanish documents. We also help you, depending on your origin citizenship, by finding the documents in your country with the apostille. And we also have a sworn translator services here. We find the appointment once we have everything. It doesn't matter where your consulate is or where you live here in Spain or in another country. We also, of course, check that all documents are fine. We like making a writing explaining all the family stuff for the consulate so that they can check it easier. And we make all the following things. We remain attentive in case you receive a requirement, and we help you until you have your Spanish passport in your hands.
Do applicants need to visit you in person or they can receive your assistance remotely?
So we can do it all remotely. We don't need to see each other in person. I don't need to be in Miami consulate in order to make sure that everything is all right because we make sure that everything is all right remotely. We always make writing, as I said, explaining everything, but we can do it in the computer and we send it to our clients and they just print it and take it. They have our phone number, so in case there's some problem the other person, we can assist. And yeah, we can do it all remotely.
How do authorities evaluate the authenticity and validity of documents submitted by applicants of the Ley de Memoria Democrática?
So if there is a Spanish document, they have like a verification code at the end of the page, and they can just like scan it with your mobile phone, and that's the proof of verification. And if the document is from another country, for example, from the United States, you have the apostille. That is what gives the document the validity and the authentication.
Do documents expire?
Yeah, depending on the consulate, they expire 1 year or 6 months from the issuance. For example, in New York consulate, the birth certificate of the Spanish relative expires on 6 months. But the most common thing is that they expire at 1 year.
What happens after the application is approved? What are the final steps to formalize Spanish nationality?
So if you have presented in the consulate, you will have to go and enroll yourself in the consulate, saying that you live there. Once you have enrolled in the consulate, they will give you a password and a username, and with that you can schedule the appointment for the passport. Instead of if you're living here in Spain, for example, in Madrid, in order to present, you have to get the official address, the padrón thing that we have been talking um, before. And with that, you can get an appointment in the police station here in Madrid and go to the DNA and passport appointment. Because only here in Spain you can get a DNA.
How does the Democratic Memory Law affect children of women who lost their nationality by marrying foreigners before 1978?
If your mother was married in, I don't know, in 1976, like you have very well said before, in 1978, we can get the Spanish citizenship for you. It's the Annex 2 case. And it's simple. We only need their marriage certificate. And if they were married between 1946 to 1978, we will also need a proof that the law in that time forced people to, well, in that case, women to lose their Spanish citizenship.
Since the Ley de Memoria Democratica's implementation, what has been the most notable or unique case you've handled?
Well, I had so many, but I think the most difficult, or the one that I'm more proud about, is a client that didn't know anything of how to search to find their Spanish relative birth certificate. Because, as I said, and that's why I know it in Asturias, there was a big fire and a lot of documents were lost. So we managed to get the certificate, the baptism certificate. We had a very fight, not fight, but we had to look in any church in Asturias. We found the baptism certificate, and we also had to fight with the consulate because they didn't want to accept the baptism certificate. We made a writing, they accepted, and in 5 months, I think it has been the most fastest one. We got the quarantine, and my client has already the passport, the Spanish passport, and
Noelia, it is clear that people have to rush because this law is finishing, and especially for people who don't have the documentation of their Spanish relatives, it's important to count with professional help. So, Sterna Abogados, of course, where can we contact you?
so it would be an amazing idea to write to our email, which is info@sternabogados.com. We will write it down so you can see it and write us, and we will be delighted to help you.